Welcome to Reflection Tuesday for September 29th, 2020. In today's Gospel from St. John, Jesus sees Nathanael coming toward him and says, "Here is a true child of Israel. There's no duplicity in him." No duplicity is a good thing. Duplicity means that a person practices deception. They're sneaky, deceitful, two-faced, and get what they want by lying. That's duplicity. Jesus saw no duplicity in Nathanael. His yes was yes, and his no was no. He was honest. What does that have to do with us? First of all, Jesus sees things, stuff in us that nobody else can see. Like Nathanael, Jesus sees the same sort of stuff in us, even when we're at a distance. So right off the bat, we can ask questions. When Jesus sees you walking towards him, would he say the same thing about you that he said about Nathanael? Would he say, "Here's a true Christian. There's no duplicity in him. There's no duplicity in her"? Would he say that? I'll throw myself under the bus here just a little bit with another true story. That's the way it is with seasoned sinners. We have lots of true stories. Luckily for me, I've learned from my true stories, even though some have made me ashamed of myself. Little shame's not a bad thing, especially when I can learn from it. Now, I would like to say that there is no duplicity in me. And there was probably even a point in my life where I might have said out loud, "There's no duplicity in me." But I'm sure my guardian angel said, "Oh yeah, here we go." Here's the true story, the short version. Long ago, I was homeless for a period of time. I did the whole thing, wondering, where am I going to sleep? What am I going to eat? What happens if I get hurt? I was actually out on the corner begging. I also collected lots of bottles and cans and took them to the grocery store and cashed them in to get the refund. Then I would plead with the manager to sell me all the dented cans of food they had for the few dollars I had in my hand. In my condition, I had no refrigerator. Cans were always good. Now, having lived through that kind of thing, I could, and I can, empathize with people who are homeless and hungry and treated poorly because of it. It's a very specific kind of trauma, a specific kind of suffering. But here's how duplicity sneaks into this scenario. Fast forward 20 years to 1997. I was in the Army stationed in Germany. I was a sergeant major at the time. 20 years since I had been homeless. I was downtown Heidelberg, about 6 p.m. in a big shopping center called the Galleria. I was downstairs in this massively huge food court, and I was in a hurry. I had to be somewhere. Suddenly, this elderly German woman steps right in front of me in the middle of the food court. She looks up at me, and in German, she says quite clearly, "I haven't eaten today." Something I am very familiar with from my past. Haven't eaten today. My German's pretty good. I knew exactly what she said. Now, this place was wall-to-wall food. I literally had thousands of options just 2 feet away to take care of the problem. But instead, duplicity happened. I looked at her and said, "Do you speak English?" She looked down at the floor and walked away, and I went about my business. That's duplicity. Sneaky, two-faced, hypocritical, deceptive, not very Christian. Duplicity. That's what I chose, instead of taking just a minute and spending maybe $1.50 to help this hungry woman. Now, the moment was lost on me at the time, but a few days later, I remembered what I'd done. And it felt like Jesus was looking right at me, and my heart turned violently inside my chest, and I hung my head, and I was ashamed. Jesus saw Nathanael coming and said, "There is no duplicity in him." Would he say the same thing about us? Jesus knows what we are and what we are not. He knows us by heart. A little bit of homework for today. If you were walking towards Jesus, and say he was a block away, standing with some angels on the corner, what would Jesus tell them about you? What would he say about you? Peace be with you. Stay safe and healthy. See you next week.